So the other day, I was responding to a comment on a Reddit post in r/Star Wars. The original post was, if you have accepted Darth Maul surviving getting cut in half in Episode One, you can't be mad when anyone survives a lightsaber stab. So I'm not gonna go too much into the post because what I was talking about in my reply was very much down a tangent line from that, but oh, I forgot to introduce. I'm John Berry 555. This is the Jedi Ranger, and I got to talk something relating to the Rise of Skywalker because it'll make sense when we get further down from this post. But as I was saying, is that first I just want to address that it depends on the context of it and how the story treats it, and that eventually led to somebody, commenting. This is why Tross was so painful to watch. The fake out deaths were egregious. And we're going to get to me talking about them. And then someone said, surely Sabine was worse than Ahsoka. And I would say no. But yes, I'll explain in a moment. Then another person responded, nothing can beat the complete cop outside with the fake death for Chewie and the immediate restored memory wipe of C-3PO in Tross, the Rise of Skywalker. And this is what I replied. By the way, out of the recording, I'm sitting at -2 upvotes, so 2 downvotes. And there might have been more, might have been less, depends on how many people. But that tells you, because all I said, I would defend the fake out death for Chewie. And I think because I was defending something for Tross, I got downvoted. And that's a huge problem in the Star Wars fandom. You talk one good thing about Tross, about the Rise of Skywalker, and you're downvoted to oblivion. It is really, really toxic the way the Star Wars fandom is. You defend one thing and something everyone else hates. Even, okay, I will admit, I do actually like the film. Is it the best? No. Is it the strongest? Is it prequel? Is it the sequels? Certainly not. But there are things I will defend about Tross, and I get hate for it. In fact, you will hate me for probably defending this. So I'm going to finish reading my post. The point was to show Rey's anger and unbalance. So, by the way, in that sentence, I'm showing that Rey was not a Mary Sue because she was unbalanced. She was angry, and that was not good, not strong. That showed that she had some character growth. Oh, that's right. Mary Sues are all about being stupidly overpowerful and not failing at any task. It doesn't matter what your emotional state or emotional wants are. It only has to do with your actual skill set. Mary Sues are way more than just that, and you can have a competent character who still goes through a journey. I don't know, Lightning McQueen in Cars. Is he a Mary Sue? He's an excellent racer, but his story was not about. Well, it is about racing, but it was about learning what it means to be a racer, about becoming a better person. He, even if he never went to Radiator Springs, he may have won the Piston Cup. Okay, that thing on the grass, he definitely needed to go to Radiator Springs to learn that from Doc. But I think ultimately it wouldn't have mattered. He still would have been a star. He still would have been an excellent racer, whether he went to Radiator Springs or not. He just became a better person and a better racer for his experience in Radiator Springs. But skill-wise, he didn't need to go to Radiator Springs. He just learned a neat technique, just like Rey through the Jedi texts learned a neat technique called force healing. But okay, that tangent aside, by immediately showing us that Chewie is alive, we can understand that Rey was not in the right headspace and may do something rash. Okay, actually, I will admit that's not quite what I meant to say, because she realized she did do something rash. You can see that with her expression on her face. But the second part is kind of probably better. If she was balanced, she should have sensed Chewie was alive and realized there was a second ship. And I think that is the key. She did not know that there was a second First Order ship there. She did not realize. She did not reach out in the Force to see could Chewie have been on another ship. She just assumed Chewie was captured and was on the ship that was leaving and all that. She's unbalanced there. She's not thinking clearly. And am I putting more thought into this than J.J. Abrams? Perhaps. I will admit that. But let's continue going through my post. All this culminates in Rey stabbing Ben. Because at that point, he's no longer Kylo Ren. He is Ben again in that scene. And this indicates that she is still a good person. Oh, and she chooses to heal Ben. That I should have added that in. This is what happens when you look away from your own Reddit post. and then she runs away. She learns the wrong lesson from Luke going into exile that we saw in The Force Awakens. And then a pep talk with Luke makes her realize that she did the wrong thing. Perhaps she could have learned the lesson in a different way, perhaps. But I think in her case, she needed to hear that lesson from someone who also learned his lesson about hiding. Because basically the galaxy couldn't wait for her to spend 20 years on Actor mulling over and eventually realizing her own mistake. But yeah, C-3PO's was certainly empty. I will not defend that at all. And by the way, the reason why is because C-3PO doesn't remember that he had his memory wipe. Sure, he could be told about it, but all his character development is totally undone. Now, it's a great scene. It's a very emotional scene, but it's so badly undercut because C-3PO doesn't remember it. I'm glad they did introduce the idea of R2-D2 backing up C-3PO's memory. I actually do think that was a good introduction because it does lay the seed for that happening. But the fact that C-3PO doesn't remember that he agreed, that he chose to make that sacrifice to save the galaxy is so... It's sad, but it also undercuts his character development, where he says, "One last look at my friends." That's a very important scene, and C-3PO should remember it, or they should have stuck with it. Basically, what it should have been is R2 or BB-8 should have grabbed C-3PO's memories in that moment, BB-8 because he was there, I believe, and then immediately after re-upload C-3PO's memory so that way C-3PO can remember it, and therefore he can benefit from that character development. But he can't benefit from that character development because he was returned to the status quo basically before that happened. At least if he doesn't remember anything, that's different. That means the characters have to live with what happened. Everyone else except C-3PO because C-3PO is now effectively a new character. But no. And ultimately, the fact that it was undone meant any character development for C-3PO is returned to status quo. The characters don't have to live with the consequences of it. Like, at least if they undid it, but they could keep up the memories to right before the memory wipe, like literally right before, including C-3PO saying, "When last look at my friends," that would have at least preserved C-3PO's character development. Still would have been a cop-out, but would have been a better cop-out than what we actually got. And that is one flaw in trust. But I'm pretty sure the only reason why I got downvotes in that Reddit post is because I literally said I would defend the fake out death of Chewie. And I still will defend it to you guys. It served a good purpose because the point of that scene wasn't killing Chewie. It was Rey thinking she killed Chewie. And importantly, Rey meeting back up with Chewie was such a great scene because it makes her realize that I didn't make a mistake. I'm alright. That's what's the important part of the scene. Eventually she does flee a bit later as well after everything on Kijimi, so she does get to help them rescue Chewie, so there is that. But the fact that she got to do that, would Luke's lesson have taken to heart if she thought she killed Chewie and didn't realize that Chewie was alive? Maybe, maybe not. Earlier this week I did a video about the Jedi's no attachment rule, and Rey is certainly attached to Chewie. I think there's no doubt about that. But the thing is I think she would have been able to let go if Chewie had died by anything other than her hand. And I have a feeling that, let's say Chewie actually was killed and she never learned that Chewie was still alive. Fast forward then to the scene Act 2. I could easily see Rey being, I killed Chewie. I can't trust myself. She still couldn't trust herself because of what she did with Ben. But imagine, she killed Chewie, she killed Ben. Yes, she did kill Ben because she realized she made a mistake. But imagine, she did killing two people that she didn't mean to kill. Even though she didn't really kill Ben. I think in her head she still feels like she did. She flees. Would Luke's argument to have worked if she still thought she had killed Chewie? I don't think so. It's an important thing for her to learn. Maybe we should have learned as the audience when Rey learned. And I do think that is a valid argument, a valid critique. I don't think it hurts or benefits the story at all because I really enjoy seeing Kylo's reaction to Chewie, which I think is also important for his eventual redemption and becoming Ben once again. So that's another thing. You can't just think about Chewie in relationship to Rey. You also got to think about Chewie in relationship to Kylo. yes, Kylo doesn't free Chewie, but it reminds him of his father, which makes it, I think, easier later on for Leia to reach out to Ben in that moment, and then allow for Ben's memory of his father via the Force to manifest, so that way he could make the right choice this time instead of the wrong choice, like in The Force Awakens. So yeah, I will defend the fake out death of Chewie because it serves the story. It serves two different characters in their own character arcs. Not C-3PO's fake out death, his fake out memory wipe, because they undid his character development, and now the characters don't have to live with the consequences of it. He either needs to live with his character development, which still would have been not as good in my opinion, but basically they either need to have the characters deal with C-3PO now being essentially a new character, or C-3PO needs to remember his character development. But the fact that C-3PO can't remember his character development and they don't have to deal with it is a huge problem. You need to have one or both somehow. And they tried to have both and they failed because they don't have to live with it and they don't have. And C-3PO doesn't get his character development. At least keep that or have them deal with it. One or the other. You can't try to do both because that's why I will not defend it. But I also wanted to say I want to talk about some other things. Sabine with her stab. One, she got medical attention right away. And it's treated not as her having a fake out death. It's treated as basically with the lights of the New Republic ships with Ahsoka running up. It's treated more like, oh crap, someone's severely injured. It's treated more like a medical scene. Like I feel like I could see that in like just make the lights, flashing blue and red, have a space ambulance, and it would have made total sense. And I think it's still good because it's also showing us that maybe it's setting up character development. I won't go into all that because I believe I talked about that in my Ahsoka reviews. I'll try to link it in the cards. But that scene is not as egregious as C-3PO's fake out death. It's not treated as her dying. It's treated as her being severely injured, not her dying. So that's a very different thing. And if I remember correctly, Ahsoka immediately uses the Force to help stabilize Sabine. Maybe Force her, maybe not, I don't know. But at least stabilizes her, and then the next scene, Sabine's in the hospital. In the hospital. Getting medical attention and care. So, yeah, I think it's fairly safe to say that it's not an egregious, because it wasn't a fake out death. It was, she's severely injured, guys. This is serious. Not serious enough to do a fake out death, but serious enough to injure a main character. And maybe that's why I view that scene differently, because I see it as not a fake out death, but a main character getting a severe injury. And that is going to influence how I look at that story. But yeah, C-3PO's fake out death, atrocious. Because, again, there's no consequences for anyone involved, except for C-3PO doesn't remember his character development, but everyone else does. And that does not make for a good story. Now, helping him relearn himself, talking about his experiences and all that, sure. But just getting his memories re-uploaded for R2-D2, no. But what about the fact that, that implies that droid sentience is fake? No. They should have dealt with the consequences of it. Again, I wouldn't have been happy with his memories being re-uploaded up to the moment right before his memory wipe. Again, that wouldn't be great in my opinion, but better than what we got. But still, they should have dealt with the consequences of C-3PO's memory wipe, and they didn't. All these other ones, they serve the story in some form. You can agree whether how good the Sabine's severe injury, whether Chewie's fake out death, if they could have handled it better, but they serve the story and serve to help do character development. Sabine's for her own development, and also I think Ahsoka's as well. And Chewie's for both Ben, Kylo, and Rey. Not poor Finn so much, but still, it served more than just advancing the plot. It actually serves to help develop the characters. But C-3PO's just, they erased it. It didn't benefit anyone or serve the story or the characters in any way. That's why I won't defend it, but I will defend some of the other ones. So yeah, all this because I got 2 downvotes on Reddit. But honestly, I feel like I can explain it better here than I could on Reddit, mainly because I've had some additional time to think about it. So yeah, what are your thoughts on all this? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you want to dislike this video? Do you want to complain at how I'm stupid in a show for Disney? Go for it. You can do whatever you want. The YouTube algorithm doesn't care. And the fact that you watched it all the end means the YouTube algorithm also doesn't care. Just if you dislike the video or post a hate comment, you're going to see my content again because that's how the algorithm works. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.